get him in the boat.
The new Skiatook Reservoir near Tulsa, Oklahoma. Or I should say the beginning of Skiatook Lake, because what you'll see today is the first level of this so-called stage fill impoundment. We'll take you on a scouting mission to learn what you need to know about how to fish a new filling reservoir now and in the future. We'll be with Bassmasters tournament champion Denny Brower of Missouri and Chuck Roberts of Tulsa. Not only will they show you how to prepare for new lakes fishing as it's filling, but they'll also show you techniques for catching big bass when the lake is in its very first year. Stay with us. I'm Ray Scott. The Bassmasters will be right back.
There are basically two types of reservoirs, normal and stage fill impoundments. A normal impoundment starts filling when the gates are closed or the dam is completed and continues filling until the water reaches a predetermined stage or spillway level. The water then stays at that elevation with the exception of normal seasonal variations or heavy runoff. Of course, there can be great fluctuations in hydroelectric impoundments. On the other hand, a stage fill reservoir is actually several lakes in one. With a 3-year stage fill impoundment, for example, the lake fills to a predetermined elevation after the gates are closed. The impoundment is kept at that elevation until, by plan, it's time to raise the water level again. The benefit of filling a lake by stages instead of all at once is fisheries management, or spreading the main productive years of a new lake over more than just the normal 3 to 5 year productivity period. The reason is, each time a lake is raised and covers new growth, it becomes a new lake from the standpoint of fish productivity. The newly covered growth provides a hiding place for small bait and game fish. And the more of the newly hatched game fish that survive the first year, the better the fishing will be in the years ahead. Fishing any new lake is confusing to many anglers because seldom will the fish be found where they're supposed to be. Bass tend to scatter in the newly flooded growth. Also, fish do not relate to drop-off structure as often as they will in an older lake. And this is not to say that even in the early stages of a lake's development that the fish will not find at least a temporary home.
There he is. Got him?
Yeah.
Good fish? He's good fish, Chuck.
He's pulling good, isn't he? He's not.
You're going to get you in that brush if you're not careful.
I get him out.
Pretty fish.
You bet.
Right.
Look how fat he is.
He is fast.
Do you believe that? He was right, I mean, in it.
He's been doing his homework, feeding real good.
Look at that. He's like football, isn't he?
That fish probably isn't more than, what, 15 inches long?
Yeah.
Weighs, what, 2.5 pounds?
Yeah. Inch and a half across.
Yeah, he's awful thick through the back. They're growing good. A new lake like this, they'll grow good.
Well, I hope.
But, you know, the problem, people on a new lake, fish could get bunched up in certain areas where they're halfway easy to catch. And a lot of lakes have almost been what I call raped. Fish have been taken out when they're young, and what they need to do is release those fish and let it get established and spread out in a lot of areas, because we fished a lot of places where there are no fish on this lake yet. But you get in a little pocket here, you may catch 15 or 20, and if somebody comes in and, you know, takes them home and fillets them, it's not giving them a chance to reproduce and spawn a few years. And this lake here is real close to a major city. It's close to Tulsa. It's going to get a lot of fishing pressure. With that much fishing pressure, people are going to have to start releasing them fish.
You know, just because it's, you know, a 14-inch limit on somewhere, or 15 or whatever it may be, wherever you are, doesn't mean that every one you catch that big you got to keep.
No, it sure don't. You know, there's so much enjoyment in just catching a fish that, you know, that's the excitement about it. Fish, when it comes to filleting them, that's not a good buy. You can go to the store and get them cheaper and run around out here on the lake trying to catch them. But what's the size limit here?
14.
14 inches?
14 now.
I know up on Truman, Lake of the Ozarks, some of them lakes up there, we got a 15-inch size limit, and it's worked out real good. And it's good that the game commissions are getting more involved on some of these new lakes with trying to protect the fishery. Even with the different stages that they're filling this thing, it's going to make it last a lot more years.
Well, you know, that's the beautiful part about a stage-fill reservoir, because, you know, usually when a lake fills up initially, 3 to 5 years is peaked out, and it starts stabilizing and starts, you know, where it's going to stay the rest of its life cycle. Where a lake stage filling like this, or like any of them for that matter, you're adding 3 to 5 every time you come up another level. So if you raise it 5 feet or 10 feet each year, you're creating a whole new lake each time.
Well, how many levels are they going to have? 3 or 4? Or what are they going to do? You're talking stages, what, 5, 10 foot every year?
Yeah, about 10 feet each year. They'll come in September of each year and come up 1 foot, just to give some, you know, forage base cover, and also for ducks.
Oh, this is going to be great for ducks, but, you know, like where you caught that fish right there, there's no way you'll probably catch a fish there next year because it'll be too deep this time of the year.
Be 10 foot of water over it.
What people got to realize, and the way we've been finding our fish, is just fishing along the edge of these creek channels, getting out in the middle of the coves and following the creek channels. Well, all they're going to have to do next year, when it's up another 10 foot, is go further back up that draw there, you know, and get to that same depth along the creek channel. It's really pretty easy to keep track of those fish, but they may be a half mile further back in next year. My turn to catch one.
Do it.
Even though the bass may be in one spot today, there's better than even money they won't be in the same place next year, with the lake elevation 10 feet higher. But where you'll find them is predictable, and there's a proven method for locating them. Stay tuned. The Bassmasters will be right back with a look at map reading and how to select, record, and remember these honey holes, these hot spots of the future. We'll be right back.